Hey, this is Kevin Kelly. Get ready for the latest episode of the Stardom Cast.
Hello guys, and welcome to the Stardom Cast, your weekly audio source of all things World Wonder Ring Stardom. I'm your host, Rob Goodin, and I am joined by the Stardom fan himself, Mr. Matt Turner. Matt Turner, how are you, buddy?
Rob Goodwin, I am fantastic as always. Always great hearing your voice. Always nice talking to the fantastic listeners and friends and family of the Stardom Cast. I'm still buzzing on these shows this past weekend, and I'm in an ultra good mood because today is my last day of work for the next 4 or 5 days. As we record this, it is the day before Thanksgiving here in the States, so it'd be nice to be around some family and to get some downtime, which probably means watching more wrestling.
Of course. I mean, what better tradition than watching wrestling? I mean, Survivor Series prides itself on being that Thanksgiving, what is it, the night before Thanksgiving tradition, I believe it was packaged as for many, many years. So, but yeah, I hope you have a lovely Thanksgiving, you and the family. Obviously, it's not a thing at all in Britain. We prefer to celebrate ridiculous traditions that don't make much sense. So, yeah, we don't have Thanksgiving, but obviously, I hope you have a lovely, lovely time. You mentioned this weekend, Jesus Christ. I mean, I don't want to use the word watershed, but this weekend felt like a watershed moment for Stardom, didn't it?
Yeah, it really was. I mean, there's obviously we're doing the Gold Rush review today, and then this weekend we'll be doing the Stardom Historic Crossover pay-per-view with Karen Peterson this weekend. But it's like, there's like a match on here that's one of the best matches I've ever seen in Stardom in the last 2 or 3 years. And I'm like, yeah, it's probably not the best Stardom match for this weekend. Like, holy jeez, like they're just hitting them one after another, after another, after another. And even as we record this on Wednesday, I don't know if you're aware, but they did a show this morning at Corkin Hall. So it's like on a Wednesday, like what? Like the Stardom train just absolutely just nonstop.
They did. It was the night 7 of the Goddess of Stardom Tag League. They drew 1,060 people. It was a national
on a Wednesday.
It was a national holiday, though. I did check.
What was the holiday? National Stardom is Awesome Week or what?
Yes, 100%. That's what it was. It's been made a bank holiday.
Sweet. T-shirts.
Absolutely. I can't help thinking that that's going to be our next merch idea. Anyway, it's been a ridiculous weekend full of Stardom goodness. I mean, just from this Gold Rush show, there was so many things to talk about coming out of it. And then obviously we had Historic Crossover as well. As Matt's already mentioned, Historic Crossover will be with you on Monday morning. So this podcast, we're recording this on the Wednesday. It'll be released on the Friday morning. And then obviously the next Monday morning, which I believe is the 28th of November, our review of Historic Crossover with Karen Peterson is going to be in your feeds as well. I imagine, Matt, it's going to be a lot of us going, oh my God, this was awesome. Oh my God, this was awesome. Oh my God, this was awesome. So I'm just going to start practicing that sentence, I think.
Yeah, this is awesome. Dun, 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 dun. That's what we might have to call it. You know, if we can get the lovely Karen Peterson on the podcast on like a, somewhat of a normal basis, like maybe like once a quarter, we might have to call it "This is the Awesome Stardom Cast." With co-host Karen Peterson, because she's probably might even be a bigger fan than me and you of Stardom, which is crazy to fathom. So
100%.
If you like positivity. Yeah, if you like positivity and you like us talking about Stardom in a positive way, you'll probably really enjoy the show we're going to record this weekend.
Before we jump into a little tiny bit of news and then obviously into our main event of the Gold Rush review, we'll look at night 6 of the Goddess of Stardom Tag League from Sendai. Which we'll very, very briefly fire through. There was a couple of matches on there that I know Matt wants to talk about. I'll be perfectly honest, I haven't watched the show because I completely forgot in the furore that was Gold Rush and then Historic Crossover, completely forgot that I hadn't already seen this show. So I apologize for that. That's all going to be Matt. And then we'll fire into our Gold Rush review. But first, before we do any of that, Matt, tell me what's coming up on Patreon, my friend.
Oh, on Patreon, it's been a little bit of a Hazuki mania running wild on Patreon. This past Monday, we released Hazuki challenging Momo Watanabe for the Wonder of Stardom Championship. That was our watch-along for our Red Belt tier Patreon members. Probably my favorite Hazuki match up until this past year, which we all know she's gone on an incredible run. And then just last week, we released for the White and Red Belt tier Patreon members the Hazuki High Speed run. So that was really, really fun to watch. Did you know, Rob, and I even mentioned this in the podcast, that Hazuki, one of her finishers, she tried the shooting star press a few times. Were you aware of this?
I did not know this, no.
Yeah, the first two matches, she goes for, it looks like she goes for, like, she has the combination where she hits the Hazuki driver and then does the senton. That's like one of her go-to now. Well, she did it in the match. She won the belt, and it looked like she like over-rotated on the senton. I'm like, oh, that was weird. It kind of looked like she was going for a shooting star press, but just overrated the senton. And then over-rotated the senton, excuse me. And then the second match, her first defense, she does the shooting star press, but bails out halfway. Then after doing some research, it's a move that she practiced a whole bunch that she was trying to get over as a finisher. So I wouldn't be shocked if Hazuki gets a big title match coming up next year, which we think she's going to. I wouldn't be shocked to see her trying to maybe bust out the shooting star press. But yeah, I was unaware of that. So how about that? I educated you today, sir. Look at that.
You did, absolutely. And we know from the shooting star press that, worked out really well for Brock Lesnar. So
anyway, jeepers creepers. Anyway, so continue what's going on with the Patreon. I'm almost done. I have one more match left to go for the Kagetsu Red Belt reign, which will be in the Patreon feeds by the end of the month. So Rob, there's 10 matches in this run. I've watched 9. Prior to this, me watching this for the Patreon, I've only seen maybe 2 or 3 matches. This run is absolutely fantastic. This is like Kagetsu as the World of Stardom champion. And for your listeners that have seen these matches before, that have voted for this, first of all, thank you. This is like, it's just on the same level of Utami's Red Belt run. And I know you've only seen like a match or two yourself. Do yourself a favor when you have the time. Like if you have like downtime, like, I don't know, if like you broke your foot by chance and you have some downtime, by all means, go back. Go and watch these Kagetsu Red Belt matches. Like I said, it's an all-timer run. It's absolutely fantastic. I'm having so much fun watching the run. And then for the, speaking of Red Belt, for the Red Belt to their Patreon members, this Monday coming up, which will be the last one watch along we'll be doing before we hit a Merry Mayu Christmas, we're going to be watching from earlier this month, because it's topical, Julia challenging Shuri for the World of Stardom Championship on night 1 of World Climax. I figured that's, since that's topical, that's going to be the main event coming up at the end of the year. I figured why not give a nice little bonus for our Patreon members, and we'll do that watch along. And of course, coming up in December, we are celebrating a Merry Mayu Christmas with, once again, we are doing for our $1 tier Patreon members, Rob and I will be recording a complete Mayu Iwatani retrospective. That's just $1. $1 gets you that. For the $3 tier members, the White Belt members, the poll is up on my Patreon, or not my Patreon, my Twitter. It is vote. Obviously, out of the four categories, you get the top 2 is what gets picked. We have a Thunder Rock review, which is winning by a landslide. Thank you. Fingers crossed. That's what I hope wins. Mayu's 2016 Cinderella win. Mayu's 2018 5-star win, and Mayu in ROH review. Those are the 4 things that you can vote for in the Patreon. The poll is still up, again, on my Twitter, Matt Turner OF. And then for the Red Belt tier Patreon members, for a Merry Mayu Christmas, we will be watching not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 matches, Mayu versus Io, the greatest feud, in my opinion, in the history of Stardom. So, yeah, we got a lot going on the Patreon, and I truly thank everyone for your fantastic support.
Yeah, I've just... For one of my 14,000 books I've got on the go at the moment, I've just rewatched the second match of the Mayu and Io feud, the one from Year-End Climax 2016, and it's such a good match. They managed to cram so much into 17 minutes. It truly is unbelievable. So I am massively, massively looking forward to the work you're going to be doing this month for a Merry Mayu Christmas. A little bit of news then, and I'm sure I've missed something off in the massive amount of buzz around Stardom this weekend, but I just wanted to bring up Stardom in Showcase again. Volume 3, November 26th. So it will be the Sunday as we record. There's been a couple of matches added. The first is there is going to be a Goddess of Stardom tag match, a blue block match with Wingori taking on 7-Up. So Nene Takahashi and you are going to be pulling double duty because, of course, they are in that Coffin 6-woman tag match. It has been confirmed as a Coffin match now, so Lord knows how that is going to happen, but there we are. Also, Matt, the latest match to be announced is a 4-way. Himika versus Saya Kamatani versus Lady C versus Momo Kogo. With a little bit of a twist. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard of a Beauty Salon Zest match. But this is a collaboration match with Beauty Salon Zest, presumably a company in Japan. The winner gets a haircut from the salon, and the use of shampoo is allowed during the match. This might be the only wrestling match where a haircut is actually the prize as opposed to the punishment that I've ever heard of, Matt.
Well, two things there. Number one is I'm going to copy and paste this. You're going to see a lot of Matt Turner in 2023 in beauty. What's it? Beauty hair salon death match. Look out. When my hair's getting long, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to cash in on this one, save a few bucks. And does anybody know Brutus the Barber Beefcake is booked to go into Japan this weekend? That's what I want to know.
The Leslie Stardom tour.
Who named kayfabe, Rob? You know, look at you being hip insider.
Oh, I'm
Brutus
sorry.
the Barber. Brutus, I'll have to call the Zodiac and the Booty Man while you're at it. But,
oh my God, the Booty Man.
That's I saw that and I was like, well, Stardom Showcase is a little bit weird, but I kind of just to hit the rewind button a few seconds. You know the extra stipulation on the coffin match.
Mm-hmm. What's the stipulation?
Yeah, it's an exploding coffin match.
An exploding coffin match, right?
Yes, sir.
Because a coffin just isn't going to be enough, apparently.
But that doesn't make any sense. The idea, if you think about the psychology of it, the idea is to put the person in the coffin because they might be scared. But then when it explodes, the coffin's going to be open, right? So, like, isn't that counterproductive? Isn't that counterproductive? Again, it's Stardom and Showcase.
How many coffins are going to be at ringside? Like,
so funny.
How many people have got to be exploded before the match is over? Like, is it like last woman standing? Apparently, according to Julia, in the setup for this match, Julia said to Nene Takahashi, "Oh, you're really good at coffin matches." And Nene looked as confused as everybody else. So I don't know what the hell is going to happen during this match, but at least we've got Wingori versus 7-Up to sort of palette the rest of it.
What's the regular normal? Like, what's the stipulation on this match? A regular normal match? What? I'm out. How dare you start to put a normal, straight up wrestling match on your Stardom and Showcase show? What are you thinking?
I know, exactly. And we have got that 4-way as well, haven't we? With Starlight Kid, Azumi. Is it Natsupoi? I can't remember off the top of my head. Give me 2 seconds.
I don't even know. I'm thinking about exploding coffins and Brutus Beefcake going up in Stardom.
Shampoo death matches. I'll be honest, Matt. I'm not sure Stardom is Showcases for me. We've got...
I don't know either. I don't have that answer yet. I don't think I ever will. God damn, I love this promotion.
It's Azumi versus Starlight Kid versus Koguma versus Ramkachau in a anywhere, Falls Count Anywhere 4-way match, which should be okay. Honestly, I've been completely thrown by the shampoo stipulation. I honestly don't know what to say about that stipulation, but I'm sure we'll see. Let's get into these reviews then. So we're going to start with the Goddess of Stardom Tag League 2022 Night 6 from way back 10 days ago as we record, on Sunday the 13th of November 2022 from the phenomenally named Aztec Museum Sendai Industrial Exhibition Hall in front of a sellout 508 people. So I'll read out the results, and then Matt, if you just want to give us a little bit of information or a little your knowledge and a little bit of your insight onto some of these matches. We open with a Red Goddess block match with Meltier getting the win over Momo Watanabe and Starlight Kid Black Desire. Meltier moving to 4 points, Black Desire staying on 1 point. We have a Blue Goddess of Stardom match with Wingori getting their first victory of the tournament. Admittedly over Saki and Wakasukiyama, but don't sully the name. It's fine. Wingori are on the board. That's what we all want. Red Goddess Stardom tag. Let me try that again. A red block match from the tag league. Aphrodite, who of course pulled double duty on this show, getting the win over My Fair Lady in 8 minutes and 21 seconds. Aphrodite moved to 6 points. My Fair Lady still rock bottom of the block with 0. A tag match, Tekla and Julia get the win over Miyu Amasaki and Azumi, with Julia getting the pinfall with the Bianca in 10 minutes and 45 seconds. 3-way tag match, time limit draw, 15 minutes. We all love a time limit draw. Tomoka and Nabe and Syuri, Amisori and Mirai, Hazuki and Kogami. That went to a time limit draw. And we then finished with 2 more Goddess of Stardom Tag League matches. Saya Kamatani and Utami Hayashishita Aphrodite getting the win over Peach Rock, with Utami getting the pinfall over Momo Kogo with the German suplex in 9 minutes and 36 seconds. And then perhaps the biggest shock of this night came in the main event, a Blue Goddess of Stardom block match. We had BMI 2000, Ruaka and Natsuka Tora getting the win over Himika and Maika. My Himi, the tournament favourites, with Tora pinning Himika in 12 minutes and 30 seconds with the Swanton Bomb. Aside from obviously the huge shock of that main event, Matt, and Aphrodite pulling double duty, what else would you like to talk about on this card?
There is a must-see match, especially for you, sir, that you definitely need to see, and that was Meltier versus Momo Watanabe and Starlight Kid. They're doing a really good job playing up this feud between the match they had here. Couple weeks prior, they had a tag title match, and then on this weekend's past pay-per-view, the Stardom New Japan Historic Crossover show, they had kind of a mini tag match they had in their mixed tag match. But I would say definitely go out of your way to see the Meltier versus Momo Starlight Kid match. Starts off with, especially Rob, I know you're in the minority that you do not like the Meltier theme music and the entrance, so you'll enjoy how this starts, because they go to make their way out of the curtain, and Momo Watanabe and Starlight Kid, not only do they jump Tam and Natsupoi, but then they wind up stealing their belts. So they're walking around like they're the tag champs. Starlight Kid hits a beautiful, they're already on the outside, so she hits a picture perfect Ase moonsault to start. They get some really good heat on Tam Nakano. Eventually, Tam makes the hot tag to Natsupoi. She starts running a little circuit on Momo, but you probably figure out what happens. You know, it's Momo, it's Natsupoi. The tables gets turned, and Momo just beats the bejesus out of Natsupoi. So congratulations, Momo Watanabe, the newest member of the Natsupoi Beatdown World Tour. So really good counters back and forth. Again, you know who wins, obviously, because you're reading the results, but I'm not going to go over move for move because I definitely would like for you to watch it. I gave it 4.25 stars, and it's probably my top 5 matches of this tournament. I thought it was absolutely excellent, and these two teams have really good chemistry together.
Wow.
Yes, I definitely go and see it. The Wingori versus Wakan Saki was a really, really solid match. I know you were over the moon that Wingori gets their first 2 points, but I'm going to say something that's even going to put you even in a better mood. Hannon gets the pinfall, so you know what that means.
Oh, no.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Hannon.
Yeah, because it seems like they're always going to be coming out to Saida's theme, I think, because like she's the more senior of the group. So I don't think we're going to get that Hannon theme, not unless Hannon starts stringing together some wins here, folks. So what a better way to, it's like you're all on cloud 9 because Wingori gets a win, and then you get to hear that theme music. So, but it was a solid match. I gave it 3.25 stars. Aphrodite versus My Fair Lady. We alluded to last week on this podcast. Lady C and May Sakurai, all of a sudden, the beef that they had on night 1, gone. Not even like a slow burn or slow turn, just gone. They worked well together, but ultimately it was Aphrodite. The double team moves really just kind of cemented the win there. 3.5 stars. Mafia Bella versus Azumi and Miyu. A solid match you'd figure with the four of them. Julie does just such a great job working towards like the lower card, like the newer talents, like the younger talents. She does a good job making sure they get enough in, and she's at the right place at the right time. And she did a great job here with Miyu. Obviously, she winds up submitting her with the Stealth Viper, 3.25 stars. The three-way tag, which we knew was going to go to a time limit draw with Mirai Amisori, Shuri Inaba, and FWC. It was great. Of course, what else can you possibly say? But it really seemed like they're building towards a Shuri versus Hazuki singles match somewhere down the line, because they did a really good job kind of bringing the two of them back and forth in this match. But like the real heart of this match was just the double teams by all three teams. Makes sense. All three of these teams are our three favorites to win the Goddess of Stardom tournament. So I think they did a really good job, almost like a commercial. Like, hey, if you're not watching the tournament, these three teams are in them. Here's what you're going to see. I had that one at 3.5 stars. Aphrodite and Peach Rock was solid. I mean, Momo Kogo constantly getting better. Obviously, Mayu's Mayu, and Aphrodite they're showing to me they're one of the best tag teams in an already loaded division. They did a really good job highlighting Momo Kogo here, not only in her defense and her offense. Peach Rock, their double team moves are absolutely fantastic. But as we kind of figured, Momo Kogo would eat the pinfall there. 3.5 stars. And if you already have the show up and running for the first match, definitely watch the main event, because BMI 2000, and I've been kind of dogging on Ruaka a lot the last 5 or 6 months, but we talked over the last week or two how her and Natsukatora are really gelling well together. And they get better each and every outing. Obviously, they're in the ring with Mike and Himika, so no way anybody can have a bad match with the two of them. But these two teams gelled really, really well together. It was just 4 hard-hitting wrestlers. And, you had in between, you had obviously the outside interference from Uedo Tai, but it wasn't pulled like in front of the ref or overly done. It was done in the right spots to kind of spoil, the team that me and you both have picked to win the tournament. And then ultimately, it was kind of like as the match is getting built, like they're building towards the heat and they're building towards the finish. The crowd is really, really behind Mike and Himika. And then when the finish happened, you can just hear like a hush. Basically, like the energy of the room is just cut out, and that's kind of what you want when you're building a heel team up like that. But I would definitely go out of your way to see the first match and the main event. And the main event, I had 3 3/4 stars. It was a really solid show. There wasn't anything that was like you can really skip, but really nothing really must see, except for maybe I'd say the opener. But definitely, if you have time, watch the opener and watch BMI 2000 versus Micah and Himika.
I can't believe how much BMI 2000, because we talked about on the opening night of the Tag League that the way they got disqualified and things like that. And I know I spoke about this last podcast as well. I was a little bit concerned that we were just going to default to the worst of Uedo Tai. And actually, they've performed really quite well in this tournament and have looked not only good, but dominant, which is...
8 points.
Yeah,
they're the leaders.
Absolutely. There's only one more team that are on 8 points, on this night, and that's Aphrodite. So, I mean, I do believe that My Himi are going to win it, but if BMI 2000 had to top the group, I wouldn't be massively disappointed in that. I think we've talked about how it's a good place for Ruaka to be at the moment as she continues her development, and getting through to the final of the Tag League would certainly be a way to do that. It wouldn't be my choice. I'd still have My Himi go through, but it'll be a great rub for Ruaka, especially as they're top of the group by a significant distance at the moment.
Yeah, great job.
Let's move on then to what is going to be our main event of this evening. We're going to be talking our latest pay-per-view, Stardom Gold Rush 2022, from Saturday, the 19th of November 2022 in Edion Arena, Osaka, Japan, in front of a reported 1,620 people. Now, last time Stardom ran the venue was December 18th last year for Osaka Super Wars, which was one of my favorite shows of last year. That drew 1,222, which means that it's a 32.5% increase in attendance. Also, if it's true, the 1,620, this makes the event the 8th highest Stardom attendance in history. So there's a little bit of a stat for you, Matt. Well, I say it's the 8th highest Stardom attendance in history. It would be for about a day. and then it goes down to 9th. But,
We'll talk about that later.
We will be talking about that in a couple of days. However, I think that's a great place to be, especially as, the Stardom Flashing Champions, which was ahead of it, and that's the next one up, and that was 1,871, and then the rest are 2,000 and above. So this show did tremendously well. Let's open then with our opener, which was a 3-way tag match, which I actually missed because I couldn't find it on. I kept skipping forwards and backwards on the pay-per-view feed, and I could not find it at all, no matter where I was staying. It was either Gold Rush or Azumi, and I couldn't seem to find this match. But anyway, the result was in this dark match, a 3-way tag, Riwaka and Natsukatora getting the win over the team of Momokogo and Saya Iida, and Lady C and Miyu Amasaki, with Tora pinning Momokogo with the Death Valley Bomb in 4 minutes and 31 seconds. Matt, anything to note from this match?
Can't believe you missed it. This was 5 stars. You need to find this. No, this was I'm dogging you, bro. No, they all worked hard. Again, 4.5 minutes. Considering the fact that after this match was like the little brief intermission to the main show, which was like 35 minutes long, they could have given this match 3 or 4 minutes longer. But again, it's 6 really, really solid wrestlers in a match at, tag match. Obviously, you kind of knew who was going to win, obviously BMI 2000, but everybody looked really good. They worked hard. All the spots made sense. Nothing was overexposed. They went home when it was time to go home. So this one gets the gentleman 3 stars for me.
Yeah, I think with this only going 4 minutes, you have got to remember the rest of the card was nearly 4 hours. It was a long show, this one. So maybe making that one shorter was sort of thinking, right, well, we know the Kairi versus Saya match is going 30. We know that Utami and Syuri is going pretty much 30. Maybe we need to cut one of these matches, and I imagine it was probably that one that got the nod. We opened the main card with our high-speed championship match, with Azumi the champion defeating Momoka Hanazono with the Azumi Sushi in 8 minutes and 4 seconds. Matt, what did you think of Hanazono?
You know what? I thought I've never seen her wrestle before, but once she brought out the bubble gum, I was like, all right, the bubble gun. I was like, oh, yes, I've seen her in Stardom and Showcase. I thought she was really good. I thought her and Zumi worked really well together. She used the bubble gun early on in the match, and I thought that should have been disqualified. I thought they should have thrown this one out. It's an illegal object. Would have soap growth in poor Azumi's eyes. Totally joking. No, I thought they worked really, really well together. There's some really, really good interactions. Azumi goes for that huge double stomp early on in the match to kind of really put the crowd up, going, really good, good way to kind of warm the crowd up here. But I thought this was good because the high speed match going on first, the championship match going on first, and we haven't seen any of that this year. So I thought it was a good way to warm up the crowd. Ultimately, I had to watch this match over twice because the last 60, 70 seconds with the constant back and forth near pinfalls, which Azumi not only does so well, but she gives so well to her opponent. I really kind of had to catch my breath getting towards the end. I was blown up just watching it. So excellent finish too with the double Azumi Sushi. I had this one at 3.5 stars.
Yeah, I think I actually liked it a little bit more than you. I gave it 3 3/4. Now, the challenge from this match was actually laid down way back at New Blood 4 in August, and this makes sense as to why I didn't know Hanazono, because I didn't watch New Blood 4. It's the only New Blood show I didn't watch. But I thought she did a good job of balancing the comedy aspects with the actual high-speed aspects. Thought she matched Azumi really, really well. That closing stretch was fantastic. Overall, I thought she gave a really, really, really good account of herself. In terms of Azumi, this is her 8th successful title defense, which ties the combined defense record of Natsuki Teo at 12, and is only a handful of days behind third place Mary Apache's combined 498 days with the title. So she's on a bit of a tear, Azumi, and if we are to assume that the chances are she's not going to have another title match until Dream Queendom, she's going to be in top 3 in terms of combined reign, I would have thought. We then got an announcement that Stardom Supreme Fight 2023 will be happening next year on the 4th of February in the Edion Arena, Osaka, this venue that they were running today next year. Obviously, last year it was Nagoya Supreme Fight with Mirai going up against Suri for the red belt. We then moved on to our second match, the first round or our first semi-final of the Moneyball tournament, which was Donna Del Mondo, Julia Tekla, and Mei Sakurai defeating the Cosmic Angels team of Tam Nakano, Natsupoi, and Waka Tsukiyama with that bloody diving elbow drop in 8 minutes and 42 seconds. Now, Matt, it looks like they've given up trying to teach Waka the dance, with her just sort of perching on the ropes and clapping them. But she almost got that wrong as well, because she tried to get off the ropes too early before Meltier had finished dancing. And you just look at her and go, poor Waka. Just poor Waka.
This match in the beginning had some of the smartest booking ever, and then at the end had some of the dumbest booking ever. Smartest booking is by leaving poor Waka out of the dance. I totally agree with you. She was on the rope just clapping along, but yeah, then she almost took a Kenta Kobashi, Dr. Death Steve Williams style bump on her head when she looked like she almost fell off the rope. And then kind of fast forward to the end, where Mei Sakurai wins with the insane elbow. I was like, wait a minute. Your match, like probably the biggest match, one of the biggest matches all year in Stardom, is this match you've been building up pretty much since March when Kairi came back. She told Saya, hey, I'm coming for this belt. I'm coming for this belt. And then they're supposed to have the match at Stardom X Stardom. Obviously, Kairi got sick. So now we move it back here. So there's more of a build. So obviously, Kairi's finisher is the insane elbow. She's on one of the main event matches here. You finish this match off with the top rope elbow drop. Like, it's one thing if you want to get it in, but like she hit the gourd buster first, which I think she calls the shining buster, and then she hit the top rope elbow drop. I would, if I was agenting this match, or if I knew anything like about this match going on, I would have maybe, okay, if she wants to get the top rope elbow, fine. Maybe have her hit the elbow and then the gourd buster. We've seen her win, I think, 1 or 2 matches in the 5-star with that move, but like, you really finish this match off with the top rope elbow drop? Be that as it may, other than those two things, obviously the first thing I talked about, I digest. It's a joke, but I just don't understand why Mei Sakurai would win a match on a pay-per-view that with the same move that Kairi does. But other than that, I thought this match was really solid. Obviously the Julia Tam stuff, that feud is not going away anytime soon, is it, Rob?
No. Absolutely not. And when you've got a feud that is so filled with emotion and fueled, I mean, look at, it's not in the same category as Utami and Suri, but when you have a fantastic feud and you're able to keep revisiting it and it continues to pay off, why on earth would you stop doing it? And it's not like we're seeing singles match after singles match after singles match between them. They're just building a narrative, which I really, really like. They just seem to encounter each other as opposed to, just going over matches and matches and matches. I do see what you're saying with the diving elbow drop, because it is something that sort of crossed my mind at the finish, especially as, and this is no disrespect to May, 'cause it is nice that they gave May the pinfall here, but it's not the best elbow drop anyway. And then she actually sort of whiffs it as well, so it would have been a lot better had she won it with the Shining Buster. Again, like you said, have her hit the elbow drop, have someone break up the pinfall. I mean, it's a 6-woman tag. That's what they're there for. And then have a win the Gold Buster to win. But yeah, it was a fine match. There was nothing that really stood out to me. I think that the Cosmic Angels chemistry with Meltier and Waka is improving all the time. And, it's almost like Waka's their little sister. They're trying to get her to do the plancha off their hands, and she's taking too long because she's nervous. So Julia and Tekla just come out and just whip their legs out from under him, which really made me laugh. But otherwise, it was fine. It did a job. I gave it 3.25 stars.
Same with me, sir. 3.25 stars.
So Donna Del Mondo are through to the main event, the TLC match for the Moneyball. But who would they meet? Well, we find out in the next match. It's our next semi-final with the Stars team of Mayu Iwatani, Hazuki, and Koguma defeating the God's Eye team of Mirai, Amisuri, and Tomoka Inaba, with Hazuki getting the pinfall with the Hazuki Strahl in 10 minutes and 5 seconds. I absolutely loved the transition from Hazuki from Ami's like a thunderbolt into the Hazuki Strahl. I thought that entire motion, that entire sequence was done to perfection.
Yeah, great finish and great way to get Ami Souri over in this match. She's getting ready to finish off Hazuki, who's really someone that they're pushing as we get to the tail end of this year and probably the beginning of next year. And she was just a half a second away of putting her away with her brutal finisher like a thunderbolt. But Hazuki, just little too seasoned of a veteran, was able to escape to hit the Hazuki straw. I thought it was a solid finish. I thought the match was really good as a whole. I thought the Stars triple teams, I thought all that stuff was really, really good, really, really excellent. The Hazuki Inaba stuff, more of that, please. I'd love to see them have a match, 10, 11, 12 minutes. I thought that was the bulk of the match. And how about poor Kagama getting literally chopped into next week? She probably could have given us the spoilers of the main event of the historic crossover show because she was hit so hard I thought she went into Wednesday. But overall, just a really, really solid match with a really solid finish. I have it at 3.5 stars.
Yeah, I had it at 3.5 as well. I thought it was the better of the two matches, the two semi-final matches. You read my mind with the Hazuki and Tomoka Inaba stuff because my note is I didn't know I needed to see a singles match between these two, but I absolutely do. I thought the work that God's Eye did on Koguma took a lot of heat in this match. Obviously, they destroyed her arm, and they seem to be getting a lot more chemistry as they're doing it. But ultimately, I think Stars with the choice to go through there, especially if you're going to do something as wacky and as car crash as a TLC match in the main event, just makes more sense. We move on then to a pair of Goddesses of Stardom Tag League matches. We have match 4, a red block match with Black Desire moving to 3 points, defeating We Love Tokyo Sports, who remain on 2 points, with Starlight Kid submitting Saki with the Black Tiger leg killer in 5 minutes and 48 seconds. Though I admit I went into this match with lowered expectations, not because of the ability of any of the 4 women in the ring, but because of the We Love Tokyo Sports gimmick, where it is all newspaper-centric and it's the same shtick over and over and over again. However, once we got over that in the first couple of seconds of the match, this was actually pretty well done, Matt.
That was well done. This was really, really fun. It had one of the coolest spots I've seen in wrestling in a long time, where you know what you're going to get when you get this match. You have Starlight Kid and Momo Watanabe, who are two absolute killers, and you have more of the comedy side of Oedo Tai and Saki Kashima and freaking Death. But so Saki's locked in the Black Tiger leg crusher submission. Say that 5 times fast, and that's pretty much spells the end of doom, right? That she's tapped in a lot of people with that hold in the last few months. So Fukin Death, being a good tag partner, knows she needs to break up this hold. So what does she try to break it up with? She tries to smother Starlight Kid, fellow Oedo Tai member, with the newspaper. So as she's like 2 seconds into the smothering, Momo Watanabe comes up and says, "Oh no, you didn't!" Grabs Fukin Death and just drops her right on her head. And then ultimately, she goes back to I think she's a low dragon sprue, and back to the leg submission for the tap out. I thought that was just so well done. And again, how long did this match go? Like 4 minutes?
5 minutes 48.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it was nonstop fun. You had your comedy, you had your psychology, you had the tag teams doing what they need to do, and then you have a clown just getting dropped on her head just for trying to cheat at the end. I thought this was it was really, really entertaining. I had it 3.25 stars.
Yeah, I had it at 3 stars. I thought, considering, again, my lowered expectations because of the newspaper shenanigans, I still think they managed to put on a really, really, really solid match. We moved on to a blue block match with Mai Himi going up to 6 points, defeating 7-Up, that is Nene Takahashi, and Yu, who remain on 3 points, with Mike again the jackknife pin on Nene Takahashi in 14 minutes and 5 seconds. I thought this match was absolutely brilliant, Matt.
This was completely different from the last match we saw, wasn't it? Yeah,
100%, yeah.
A lot of hard-hitting stuff. I mean, Nene Takahashi, her stuff is just so on point here between her kicks, her strikes, where she needs to be in the ring. I think her and Yu gel really well together. And obviously, I mean, we don't need to put over Mai Himika and Mike and Himika any more than we do, but we will. They are absolutely fantastic. They were great. They're the the lariats, the shoulder tackles, the lariat sandwiches, the Tower of Doom spot. I thought everything was really, really on point here. Kind of was trying to see which way it was going to go. He kind of figured My Hemi was going to get the win because they need some points, but how were they going to get the win? Obviously, they have a lot of tag team finishers. Mike and Himika both have really good, solid singles finishers. And then it kind of just came out of nowhere with the jackknife pin. I really liked how they built towards that. Kind of just came out of nowhere. So really, really solid match. This is probably my either number 5 or number 6 tag matches of this tournament. I had this at a solid 4 stars, and I think this is where we're going to see Mike and Himika start to build some more momentum going towards the final days of the tournament.
I completely agree with you on every front. I gave it 4 stars as well. It was really, really good. They split off into effectively 2 singles matches with Himika and Yu and Nene and Micah. And I thought Nene and Micah they just threw bombs at each other for what felt like 8 of these 14 minutes, and both women came out looking better. It was a great match. It moves Micah and Himika onto 6 points, moves them second in the block, though they've got 3 matches left. I thought they'd only got 2. It's interesting to see some of these blocks. I'll just go through where everyone is in terms of blocks. So we'll start with the red block. At the top are Aphrodite with 8 points. Julia and Tekla are second with 6 points. And then it is Meltier with 4 points. That's the top 3 in red block. Blue block, we have got BMI 2000 at the top with 8 points. They've only got 2 matches left, though. And Micah and Himika are in second place with 6. They have also they haven't. They've got 3 matches left. I keep misreading it. They've got 3 matches left against Waka and Saki, which bless Waka and Saki.
Can you imagine?
No, I can't, Matt.
Shut up, Matt.
They've got O2 line left, and they've got FWC left as well. So if we are to assume they're going to get the 2 points against Waka and Saki, that moves them up to 8. They go against O2 line. You would assume they're going to get the win over O2 line, with one of them pinning Miu. It's all down to FWC. So
way to build it. Great way to build it with the 2 former tag champs teams going in. That's what the last night of Blue Block.
I don't know. It's the one without a date. Let me just have a look. Hazuki and Koguma versus My Hemi, 4th of the 12th. So 4th of December. So yes, I believe that is the final night of the tournament, isn't it? The 4th.
Great way to build it, because now it's going to come down to those 2 teams, which I think is just smart booking.
And then BMI 2000, they've got the new eras of Mirai and Amisori. That's just happened at Korakuen today. And then they've got on the last night 7 Up. So it's going to be BMI 2000 versus Nene, Takahashi, and Yu. It does depend on how Amisori and Mirai do against them, but that's going to be very, very close as well. In terms of red block, Aphrodite are yet to lose, and they've got Meltier.
Oh boy.
They've still got Mafia Bella. That's just happened at Korakuen. And then they've still got Karate Brave as well. So they've got 3 tough matches. What match have they got on the last night? Meltier. So
just take my money, Stardom. Just take my money.
In fact, on the last night, so let's just quickly have a look at some other permutations here. So Julia and Tekla on the final night have got Black Desire. On the final night, it is going to be We Love Tokyo Sports and Peach Rock, which unfortunately I don't really see that having much effect on anything. My Fair Lady have got Karate Brave. I think it's looking like a straight shootout between those 3 teams: Meltier, Aphrodite, and Julia and Tekla. And as Black Desire have got Mafia Bella on the last night, I can see them playing spoilers, Matt.
Yeah, I think you had Momo and Kid going through, right, in the red?
Well, again, let's just take that with a pinch of salt, Matt. We know what happens when I do predictions.
You're right. However, you did get this next match. I'm gonna look at that hand fist segue
Look
to the
at
next
that.
match. You didn't? Wow, look what a team. We're like
Honestly.
Hogan and Savage in '88, brother. But you did absolutely nail this one with the match number 6, Saya Kamatani defending the World of Stardom Championship against Kairi.
Absolutely, ending in a time limit draw, 30 minutes. I do just want to say it's a really interesting dynamic heading into this match because technically we've had 2 build-ups to it. We have Kairi catching COVID just before their initial match at Stardom X Stardom. And in both press conferences, Kairi went on the offensive. In August, she went on the offensive about Saya's credibility as champion, saying that she just gave empty words and was too busy with other things to meet the challenges of the white belt head on. And when Saya started crying, Kairi accused her of doing it for sympathy and that a champion should be strong. And then obviously that match never happened. So when we move on to the press conference before Gold Rush, Kairi started playing mind games and sort of bringing up the Mina injury and the doubt Saya must be feeling and sort of questioning whether Saya would be able to fly or to hit the Phoenix Splash. And I thought that was a really, really interesting through line throughout this match because ultimately Saya doesn't hit the Phoenix Splash. She doesn't go for the Phoenix Splash at all. It seems to be a very, very, very last resort. This is a match that went 30 minutes and there was potentially one tease of it where she went to the top, but Kairi stopped her. So if that's a narrative that we're going for, I am all on board for that, Matt.
Keep in mind, Kairi didn't hit the insane elbow. She went for it as well towards the end and got kicked. So it's like you have their 2 big finishers that were not hit in this epic, epic match. But they basically took, the injury to Mina, which obviously is not a good thing. They basically took a negative and spun it into 2 positives. One with Mina with the 2 promos back to back, one in the ring right after the match with the injury, and then one backstage, which I think is the greatest promo in the history of Stardom. And when Mina comes back, she's just going to be a bigger star than she already is. And now you're building this narrative up with the Phoenix Splash. She didn't go for it here, and even the next night, front of 7,000 people on the biggest show she's probably ever wrestled on, didn't go for it there. So now it's like you're building up that next time you see the Phoenix Splash, it's going to be a big deal. Obviously, she's got the Star Crusher. She's got an absolutely picture perfect 450 splash as well. So you're kind of building towards like when she takes it, when she does it, it's going to be a big deal, whether she attempts it and misses it or she actually hits it. And then when somebody, when maybe they build her up to a red belt match, maybe somewhere towards next year or in 2024, that when maybe somebody kicks out of it. So I think they're going to doing a great job taking a negative on that botched Phoenix Splash at the last pay-per-view and turning it into a positive. I think this is great booking by Stardom on that half.
I think it will be, we'll talk about this match in a minute because this match truly is fantastic. I think it would be great if depending on who Saya faces at Dream Queendom, and it is a big if it's Hazuki she faces, I think Hazuki takes the belt off of there. If it's not, I would have Saya hold onto the belt until she can face Mina, and I'd have Mina take the belt from her. Now, that is purely based on how well Mina did, how far she's progressed this year, but also how fantastic those 2 promos were. I truly do feel now, what I didn't quite feel before, that she is a champion. She will do fantastic things with that belt. But during that match with Mina, what if Saya tries the Phoenix Splash again and misses it, ends up getting pinned by Mina, and she sort of retires it? Not necessarily retires it forever, obviously. But then, as you said, when she goes for the red belt again, which Saya is obviously going to do, why not have her bring it out there and bring it out as this nuclear finish, very similar to how Shuri uses the Vermilion World. Don't use it every match, use it as a last possible choice.
Or Kenta Kobashi. I always throw it back to All Japan 90s when Kenta Kobashi with the Burning Hammer, who I think only hit it like 5 or 6 times, like when he absolutely needed to, because Kobashi had the lariats and the power bombs and the Orange Crush, and obviously Saya Kamatani has a whole bunch of different ways to put her opponent away. So yeah, I like that. I like that train of thought. But I kind of figured when the last match, once this match started, I was like, I think Rob's going to be right on the time limit draw based on a couple things. Number one, the show was kind of cooking along pretty fast. I know we still had 3 matches to go. And the last match, they called for 1 minute left in the time limit, and then the finish happened. And I thought, you kind of teased a little bit of a time limit draw there. So I'm like, maybe Rob's right. Maybe we'll get it here. And I've seen a lot of long matches in my day. The Punk Joe time limit draw matches. Anytime Flair and Steamboat, all their matches went really, really long. So I've always noticed, like, when a match starts, when it's going to go a long time, when the bell rings and nobody does anything, and then the crowd starts clapping and they get into it and they still don't do anything because they're milking it, I'm like, they're going to milk the clock. So as soon as this match started, and they were like maybe almost 2 minutes in before they even touched, and then they started doing some really slow, but, psychology-wise, smart chain wrestling, I was like, this one's definitely going to time limit draw. But then they ramped it up pretty quick, didn't they, Rob?
Absolutely. I mean, let's just talk about how savage Kairi is in this match. I mean, she hits, I don't know if we'd call it an insane elbow with it being off the apron onto that stack of chairs, but she was intent on absolutely destroying Saya early on in this match. And I don't think people told her that she had a very important title match the next day because she
forgot about it.
Yeah, man, she took so much here. I mean, just the arm drag onto that pile of chairs looked nasty the way she landed. But honestly, they held absolutely no. And I enjoyed the fact that Kairi sort of became the de facto heel in this match, sort of not taking Saya seriously as a champion, saying she couldn't be a champion because of, X, Y, and Z. And the longer we went on, the more Kairi started to realize, actually, Saya is a lot tougher than I initially thought. I've sort of underestimated her here. There were some great moments wrapping Saya up in the ropes with the anchor. I thought was brilliant. Hitting the DDT on the apron, targeting Saya's knees. But overall, the narrative was, is Saya going to hit the Phoenix Splash, or is she even going to attempt it? And there was that sort of passage in the match where Saya hit everything she hit. The Star Crusher then went up, hit the 450. Then went up again and paused. Now, you can argue it was so that Kairi could get into position. That's by the by. For me, it was a case of, have I got what it takes to hit this? But you can't afford to take that time against someone who is experienced as Kairi. Kairi stops the move. And then even as the bell rings, because throughout it, Saya has been working Kairi's arm after doing the arm drag onto the chairs. What I realized was she goes straight for an armbar as the bell rings. Doesn't even try and get to the top rope to hit the Phoenix Splash. She goes to an armbar. When was the last time we saw Saya Kamatani win with an armbar? We haven't.
Never. Yeah. Well, here's something else, too. You have to look at the time's expiring. 1, I do not have time to go to the top rope. 2, it takes 3 seconds to win a match via pinfall. But if you know your submissions, you can get somebody to tap out in a count of 1. So, so there's that psychology as well. Now we're putting into our head, because if you remember, Saya Kamatani was training judo and jiu-jitsu to counter Mina Shirakawa on the figure 4. So now we have another narrative where it's like, ooh, are we going to start seeing a straight armbar submission from Saya Kamatani? Or are we going to start seeing her, because now we're going to, kind of put the Phoenix Splash on the shelf for a little bit. And are we going to see more of a submission game from Saya? She's well-rounded everywhere. Obviously, the high-flying, the explosive offense. We've seen her getting so much better on the strikes, this past year, especially with the spin kick and that jumping boot. Then she does like what I call the kike goye, very similar to Kotabushi's kamagoye, but instead of the knee, she does the kick right into the face. But now if we're going to add a submission game into the already fantastic arsenal of Saya Kamatani, as long as it makes sense and as long as it's worked well, I'm all for it. It just adds another wrinkle into the just the fantastic offensive arsenal of one Saya Kamatani.
Yeah, because thinking about her general move set, there's only really the Boston Crab and the Mutalok that she's got in terms of outright submissions. So maybe adding more submission might be a good way of sort of rounding out that moveset, like you mentioned. Calling it now, we don't know who she's going to be facing at Dream Queendom. What's your gut telling you? Who's it going to be?
You know what? When when the show on Sunday finished, I was like, they're going to do Kairi versus Saya, no time limit. And then Saya's going to beat Kairi. And then a week later, Kairi will beat Tam at the Dome. And just because of like, we kind of forgot about it because she won at the Dome. But then they announced they're doing Utami versus Kairi at Dream Queendom. So I'm like, well, there goes that idea. I'm going to say it all depends. We don't know what's going on with Mina. Do we have any update on her if she's going to be back by this time yet?
No updates at all.
Maybe Starlight Kid, maybe you run that back again just because based on the match they had about a week and a half ago, Starlight Kid put her foot on Saya Kamatani's white belt. You can run that back again. I won't have any problem with that. The Hazuki thing, I think Hazuki is the person to beat her for the belt, but not now. Maybe they have the match just because it is a big match at Dream Queendom, and maybe Saya goes over, but then Hazuki wins the Cinderella, and then she wins it there. Because if you remember, when Saya won the white belt, she challenged Tam earlier on in the year and then lost, and then they built her back up, very similar to what they're doing with Julia, and then she won the belt. So maybe you do that with Hazuki, where Hazuki loses to Saya at Dream Queendom. But honestly, your guess is as good as mine, because I'm also thinking that they do a Oedo Tai versus Stars, Artist of Stardom title match at Dream Queendom. That's a way to go, too. But if you're going to say I have to make a decision now, I'm going to say it's Hazuki, but I don't know.
Hazuki's the smart choice. I mean, Saya's already defended against Starlight Kid. She defended against her at Midsummer Champions in July. So is that long enough to give it? I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm definitely up for another Saya Kamatani Starlight Kid match.
I have the answer.
If you say Waka.
No. Now you have to, because the Starlight Kid match would make sense because Starlight Kid beat her in the 5-star. But what was the match that was named match of the tournament per Stardom in the 5-star?
Starlight Kid and Saya.
No. It was Suzuki and Saya.
That's what I meant. I don't know why I said Starlight Kid.
And Starlight Kid on the reins. And Suzu won that match. So why not do Suzuki versus Saya Kamatani, the rematch, and run it back?
That's not a bad shout, to be fair. I'm just going to have a look at the website now to see who did Saya Kamatani lose to in the 5-star. Give me 2 seconds, because now I'm intrigued. I'm genuinely intrigued as to who they're going to run with it.
Here's something else too. Now we have 19 other people that we're thinking of. If you've been watching the tag matches and the 6-person, the 8-person matches since after the 5-star, they've been highlighting Mayu and Saya Kamatani doing some stuff there. So I wouldn't be heartbroken if we got Mayu versus Saya for the white belt.
I mean, Saya only suffered 4 losses in the 5-star. She had a time limit draw against, not time limit draw. She had a count out against Mirai. Or did she have the time limit draw against Mirai and a count out against Amisori? That might
she had the count out. She had the count out Amisori on the final night in the time limit draw with Mirai. Yep.
And then she lost against Julia, but I think we can safely say that's not going to happen. And then it's Suzuki, Starlight Kid, and Mina. She's obviously already had the match with Mina, so that gives her Starlight Kid or Suzuki or Hazuki. But Saya did beat Hazuki in the 5-star, so what is Hazuki's claim?
We were having an exploding coffin match this weekend, Rob. So
That is true. Just a word on Kairi then before we sort of go off onto this. I feel like this is the big match we've been waiting for from Kairi. No disrespect to her work up to this point in Stardom, but this is the first match where in ring she's as felt as special as she does an attraction. It's easily the best match of her second run with the company so far, obviously until the following night, but we'll talk about that later. Like, she enters the ring and the aura and charisma she carries herself with is just spellbinding. But then, aside from maybe the Starlight Kid match, which was good, but she hasn't yet had that blow away match, has she? And then here, she knocked it out of the park. Her and Saya, I think, had fantastic chemistry. And between this and the match you would have with Mayu on the next night, it was a fantastic weekend for Kairi.
Yeah, absolutely. Before I guys want to touch on a couple things. What was your rating on this, sir?
I give it 4.5.
I had it 4.5 as well, and I agree. This was up until the next night. Kairi, not only was it her best match since she's been back with the company, and again, I think the tag matches and the singles match she had with Starlight Kid, they were all really, really good. Don't get me wrong, I'm the biggest Kairi fan. I'm not bagging on Kairi. I'm just saying how great this match was. I will say this is the best match she's had since she dropped the white belt to Mayu in 2017. Now, I've not seen all of her WWE stuff, but I've seen a majority of it. Obviously, I've pretty much seen all of her matches in NXT, and she had great matches in the Mae Young Classic. She had a great feud with Shayna Baszler. I thought her stuff in WWE was really, really solid. But I'm just saying that I think that this was her best match since that white belt match against Mayu in 2017. And I'm also going to say, again, I had this 4.5 stars. And again, what I'm about to say is nothing negative on Kairi. Again, I'm a huge, huge fan of Kairi. Just to give an idea of where Saya Kamatani is at in my mind with this white belt. Again, I had this 4.5 stars. Here are the white belt matches Saya has that I thought was better. The Tam match, she wins the belt. The Utami match from World Climax. The Tam title defense from World Climax Night 2. The Mirai match, the Starlight Kid match, the Mina match, the Micah match, the Himika match. Again, I had this match at 4.5 stars, and I have all those matches I just said rated better. So Saya Kamatani, clearly my wrestler of the year.
She's having an outstanding run. She really is. And when you consider she's not that far into her career, it's honestly astounding how far she's come. I did like, as this match finishes, she retains and obviously doesn't cry, which I thought was a nice touch after, Kairi verbally bashing her for crying and it not meaning anything. She moves clear of Io into second place of successful title defenses with 11, is around 30 days shy of Momo Watanabe in fourth in the longest single reign. So she really is in the upper echelon of the wonder of Stardom history. So it's going to be interesting to see what the future holds for Saya. And whereabouts she ends up when she does eventually drop it. Because I think if she does retain at Dream Queendom, I don't think anyone is going to bemoan that.
I think she will, because last year you had the white belt and red belt both change hands at Dream Queendom. To Saya and Shuri, do they both drop them on the same day a year apart? I'm going to say no. Obviously, Shuri, she's as great as Shuri is a champion. She's dropping that belt to Julia. I don't think you do it back-to-back back-to-back years with the same people that won them the same year. I just don't think they're going to do it. However, I've been known to be wrong a time or two in my day.
It felt like every belt changed hands last year at Dream Queendom. Saya at the moment is on 329 days with the belt. Momo's at 358 and then Kairi's at 364. If she retains at Dream Queendom, there's every chance that she can go second behind Yuzuki Aikawa. I don't think she's going to break the 618-day reign, but she very well, if she retains at Dream Queendom, I have every faith that she will go ahead of Arisa Hoshiki in second with 370.
Here's something else I want to point out too. When Saya eventually loses this belt, because it's such a monumental run, I think it should be at the main event of a show, not a co-main event. I think it should be the last match, the last thing that you see. So that's another reason why I don't think she's dropping the white belt at Dream Queendom. Again, that probably means that take all the bets, take all the money you have and belt on Saya Kamatani. Especially Rob agreed with me. So that means bet against it's a
kiss of death, that, mate.
But kudos. Let's 180 it for a second here. Kudos to Rob Goodwin, the only person that I know that said this was going to be a time limit draw. Kudos, sir.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, my logic behind making it a time limit draw was flawed, as proved by the following night. But even so,
you don't worry about that, buddy. A win's a win.
I mean, let me just put this out there before we move on to the semi-main. Saya Kamatani is a Kanagawa native, okay? Which is where Kawasaki is, I believe. What if this shampoo match at Stardom and Showcase Volume 3 becomes a title match and she loses it there? My God, the scenes.
We're talking about like the greatest title run all year to going back to the shampoo match. What a podcast, folks.
Always the shampoo match. We move on to the semi-main event then. Match 7, World of Stardom Championship match. Syuri, the champion, defeating Utami Hayashishita with the Vermilion World in 28 minutes and 14 seconds. The subtle poetic nature of Syuri facing her biggest rival with both of them on 9 World of Stardom defenses and then having to beat Utami to move past her in 10 is beautiful. And just in general, these two really do have unparalleled chemistry, and the ebbs and flows of their matches seem to be as organic as possible. I mean, they just seem to know what each other are doing, and Utami having to up her brutality to match Syuri, while we see Syuri on the consistent back foot for perhaps the first time in her reign. I thought this was yet another unbelievable installment in this anthology of Syuri and Utami, Matt.
I'm going to make a statement, and I will die on this hill. If you disagree with me and see me in public, I will fight you. I will suplex you into a pile of eggs at a grocery store. But when you talk about
shampoo match being booked, me and you,
absolutely, yeah. And I tell you what, if you see me get my hair cut, that's when you come and attack me, because we will have a shampoo match, and I will put it on the Patreon. Anywho, so no, in all seriousness, here's my statement. When you talk about the greatest trilogy of championship matches, you obviously go to Flair Steamboat '89. Yep. Punk and Joe from Ring of Honor.
Yep.
You go to the trilogy of Wrestle Kingdom matches with Tanahashi and Okada from Wrestle Kingdom 7, 9, and 10. Mm-hmm. That's another go-to. And then obviously the Omega Okada trilogy title matches. This belongs with those. There's nobody that can tell me any different. These 3 title matches that these ladies have had over the last, 17, 18 months, they belong in the same breath as Punk Joe, Steamboat, Flair, Okada, Omega, Okada, Tanahashi, and there's nobody that can tell me any different. This match was absolute wrestling perfection. First of all, how about Utami coming out with the old red gear from when she was champion? I mean, almost probably show, yeah, but not only a big statement, but we watch what happens 24 hours later, and it's almost like Utami showed it to Maya and was like, ha, beat you to it. But yeah, big statement coming out with the old championship gear. That's Utami at her absolute best, was in that title run that she had from 2020 to the end of 2021. And just, yeah, and then Sherry coming out with new gear as well. But these two just didn't miss. Everything felt big. Everything had purpose. Timing was good. Selling was good. Ring positioning was good. It got violent where it needed to get violent. The ebbs and flows of this match were just absolutely perfect. This match was wrestling perfection. And you can make an argument out of the 3 matches, this one might be the best. I still don't know. Someone asked me, where does this rank? And so just like Steamboat and Flair from '89, there's real no wrong answer. You can put any one of these 1, 2, or 3, and there's really no wrong answer. I'm not going to go over every move in this match. If you haven't seen it, please go out of your way to see it. It's one of the best matches that I've seen all year. It might even break my top 5, not only in Stardom, just in wrestling in general. This was, as you wrote in your book, Stardom, I have it right here, Living the Dream, Stardom's 10th anniversary in review. When you reviewed their first match, you put, this is the easiest 5 stars I've ever given to any match, and I will echo that sentiment, sir. This was the easiest 5 stars I can give to a match that I've seen this year.
I feel like their 5.5-star match was lightning in a bottle. It's an entirely unique encounter that they'll never be able to replicate. But that's something that I love about this feud, this trilogy. They didn't try and replicate it at Dream Queendom. They didn't try and replicate it here. All 3 matches are outstanding as standalone matches without relying on the history of their previous encounters. And the fact that they didn't replicate and they just built made this another really, really, really special match. And just from a wrestling standpoint, never mind the emotion and the rivalry between these two that's gone back to May last year, just from a wrestling standpoint, these two are in the upper echelon of Stardom ever. Never mind just of the current roster, Stardom ever. I mean, Some of the kickouts and timing, like, we both knew going into this that Utami wasn't winning. We both knew. Which we didn't know in the first or second match. So we knew the result was clearer in this match than it was in the first 2. So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but yes, I know what you're going to say. Go ahead. You're absolutely spot on. However, the bite on that kick out from the hijack bomb was unbelievable. And then from a similar standpoint, in my head, I knew that Utami was going to kick out of the Ryan. I knew it. but they timed it so perfectly that you can't help but bite on it. And it takes a really special match to really invest you in that. And I feel like I was so close to only giving this 4 3/4 stars. And my reasoning was that Utami was never winning this. And to a certain extent, that sort of took me out of the match. And then I watched it again. It's the only match from the show I've watched twice. I watched it again, and I realised it doesn't matter. Because
it's not Utami's fault. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well, as I've just said, I still bit on those 2 pinfalls. And surely that shows that actually it doesn't matter that the outcome was scheduled. We knew that it was going to be Suri and Julia heading into Dream Queendom. Yeah, we did know that. But as a standalone match without that knowledge, this was as close to perfection as you can get. I don't think it's as good as their first one. As I've already said, just an entirely unique, emotion-driven masterclass. But this is such a good backup to it, such a good appendix, such a good next chapter to that book that they're writing together. I have given it 5 because ultimately, if I know the result going into it and I still bite on pinfalls, you've hooked me into the match. What more can I ask?
Well, here's one thing that you can ask. If you turn to page 136 of your book, Living the Dream, Stardom 10th Anniversary Review, I just want to read the last thing on the page. This is how eloquent Rob Goodwin is, folks, and I don't know if my horrible voice will do it justice. Just bear with me. Some have said that having a time extension sets a dangerous precedent for future matches. And while I understand that, I also appreciate the level of emotion and drama in this match and make it a special one-off occurrence. That even Rossi Ogawa was swept up in the tidal wave of intense passion speaks volumes of its uniqueness. I don't think I've ever awarded an easier 5 stars, match rating 5 stars. Brilliantly put and brilliant words from you there, good sir. But that's exactly what I felt when I wrote down 5 stars. I'm like, I'm literally going to echo Rob's sentiments from that match. Again, page 136 of Stardom's Living the Dream.
Thank you very much. I love this match. That 1-2 punch of Kairi and Saya and Suri and Utami, I knew it was going to be great, and I'm still come out of this match like blown away. And I would be amazed if when we do, and I've had a couple of people ask me, yes, we are still doing our Stardom End of Year Awards 100%. I'm going to do it after. I'll put up the poll literally the night of Dream Queendom, because I guarantee a lot of people's matches of the year, or it might get classed as show of the year. So I will drop it on the night of the 29th. And that'll give you till I think we closed it on the 3rd or 4th of January last time. But I would be amazed if this show wasn't in the running for a show of the year, Matt, even without talking about the main event.
Yeah, and hey, I just want a yes or no answer. Again, we'll talk about this with Karen over the weekend, because I know me and you were texting back and forth on Sunday. Was this your favorite match of the weekend? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. Okay. So you have Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal versus Sting and Darby Allin.
100%, man. Though
I know you.
I will just say it was absolutely beautiful to see Eddie Kingston finally wrestle his hero. That might be my cathartic moment of the year, to finally see him wrestle Jun Akiyama. Let's move on then. So our main event was match 8, the Moneyball Table Ladders and Chairs Tournament final match. The Stars team defeating Donna Del Mondo in 9 minutes and 58 seconds. Right, let's get the elephant out of the room. The money ball being broken off of the hook before either team had a chance to grab it after like 3 minutes of the match is perhaps the most Mayu thing to ever happen in a Mayu match, despite it not actually involving Mayu.
You think it broke because she was around the vicinity? You think that's what it was?
I think it was. I think it's just a case of Mayu was there, and then obviously by proxy it's got to happen. Like, that's a fairly big thing to try and recover from. They did manage to cover for it pretty well in the end, but the extremely gifable reaction of Mai Sakurai's look of absolute horror as the ball explodes in money on the mat, and just that split second where everyone looks at the mat and just goes, right, What do we do
Hazuki and Julia covered it up as well as they possibly could. And
Absolutely.
Plus the ref started sweeping it up and then said something to the ring announcer in Japanese. I don't speak Japanese. I hope to in the next few years. But then he made an announcement that it's like, yeah, we're just going to put the top part of the money ball up top. And I'm like, that's a pretty damn good cut. Like, what can you do? Because it'd be one thing if it was like the Money in the Bank briefcase or a championship belt, and it's just one thing that falls and it's solid. But you have crowns and coins and dollar bills and bouncy balls and sweet tarts and nerds and whatever the hell else was. And I think it was all over the map. It's like, they don't sweep that up quick because we're going to have to bump on this. Not only that, but like we got some big matches coming up with these ladies coming up in the next month or so. But I thought they did as good as a job as they possibly could with especially with Julia and Hazuki. Kind of just like, well, let's go. We have to cover this up. So I thought they did a really good job there. My biggest negative in this match wasn't the money ball breaking. It was the fact that Mayu Iwatani was not wrapped up in bubble wrap going into this match, knowing what she had for her the night before. But considering the fact that Kairi practically killed herself an hour earlier, probably like, well, what the hell, right?
Absolutely. If they don't do now, if this is to become an annual thing, which I do hope it does because it's something completely unique in Stardom, I hope that they do like a series of videos where like they do little comedy sketches of where they are reinforcing this money ball before it goes up. Like properly,
putting it in chains.
Yeah, properly lead into the fact that like this happens. Like, don't try and cover it up. Proper lean into it. Like, you've got like blacksmiths trying to make metal coverings for it, all sorts. Make it a big thing. Stars had obviously selected their alternate attires from WWE 2K22 because they all came out in their hardcore attire with CM Punk style tape up their arms, which I did enjoy. It's interesting that all the ladders were set up prior to the match, which I've never seen before. Before the bell went, all of them set up a ladder, which gave us a great image of Mayu setting up the world's tiniest ladder and Hazuki bursting out laughing. But I don't think I've ever seen that in a ladder match. Have you, Matt?
Maybe in some random indie that I've done. I mean, it's a possibility, but not into like, you know, this aspect. It's a very rare occurrence. But yeah, I thought it was great that you had the 8-foot ladders, the 10-foot ladders, the 80-foot ladders, and then the 4-inch ladder. I was like, well, you know, they're really going for Stardom really is the variety is the spice of life over here, you know? But yeah, and of course, once you saw that mini ladder, I'm like, I'll bet every dollar in my bank account that Mayu definitely goes for that. And I thought it would have been even better if like everybody got cleared out. Mayu hits like one of her signature dives. She rolls into the ring. There's 40 ladders for her to pick. And she picks the small, she knocks down all the big ones and she picks the small one. And then she starts going up. But one thing else we failed to mention, I was a little confused by like, if you hit a buzzer, this loud, annoying sound goes off.
I haven't edited my notes, and it's just, how is this money ball getting higher? I couldn't work it out till Mayu did it towards the end.
Yeah, I didn't understand it. And then I was like, well, maybe I should turn the volume down in my house at 5 a.m. so I don't wake everybody up with this giant annoying sound. Sounds like a tractor trailer is backing up into my house. And then the money ball broke. But like all that aside, there was some crazy ass spots in this match. Like Hazuki DVDing Julia off the table. And if you go back and watch that, the table is like bridged in between the ladder and the ropes. And Saya Ida, made by the MVP of that spot, basically she just sitting there in like a full squat position with her hands underneath the table to make sure that the table doesn't fall. And it didn't at all. It was braced really nice. Suzuki did a good job taking care of Julia. But like obviously all the wackiness ensued in this match, you can't take away from the insane spots that all 6 of these ladies did. And then how about the Freedom rocket launcher into poor Tekla's face? Oh, jeez.
It probably looked like it shook Tekla because Mayu went crashing into it. Like this, sometimes in wrestling, you can see how a wrestler is protected from a spot.
Sure.
I do not understand, having seen that, you know, that well-publicized gif of Freedom doing it to Chelsea Green. I still do not understand how that doesn't just break a person in half, because like Tekla's arms are down by her sides and there's not a chance Mayu is pulling anything from that dropkick. She's been catapulted towards it. I do not understand how that isn't just brutal, like how that doesn't just wipe her out for the entire rest of the match. Maybe you can give me some insight into that, Matt. How is Tekla not just dead at this point?
Well, I mean, if you read, the only thing I could think is if you read Mick Foley's first book, He said that he was a big fan of Terry Funk, and he always wondered how Terry Funk, he would throw those 3 right jabs and that big left hook. And he always wondered, because, boy, it looks like Terry kills people with this thing. Like, I wonder what the secret is. And the first time he wrestles Terry Funk, he's doing it. And as Foley's like selling the punches, and he's like, oh, here it comes. Here comes that left hook. And the next thing you know, he was on the floor looking at the lights, and he was all dizzy. And he asked Terry, he's like, I always wondered what the secret was. And he's like, no, there's no secret. He goes, the reason why it looks so good is because I really throw it with the intent to try to knock somebody out. And maybe that's what the secret of the Freedom Rocket Launcher is. And the vein of Terry Funk's left hook is Mayu's left foot or right foot coming at your face. And maybe it's something at a point where it's like, hey, just turn your head and grit your teeth. You know, this is pro wrestling and stuff happens, but maybe Mayu tries to protect as well as she could by hitting maybe the top part of the face, maybe like to the side of the eye, where it's kind of be the most padding. But that would be my best answer for you, that, sir, because it literally looks like she's getting thrown into the front row like at that point.
Absolutely. Mei Sakurai takes a really nasty bump on a notoriously solid Japanese table as well, but this does give an absolutely fantastic reaction from Mayu and Koguma. So Mayu is set up on a table, and Mei is looking to do one of her terrible elbow drops. And basically she gets stopped, Mayu rolls off the table, and Mei gets arm dragged from the top rope through this table by Koguma and Mayu. The table does not break. It makes a sickening thud, and Mayu and Koguma's faces are just like, oh dear. Just honestly, go to that match and find that reaction. It's my favorite thing of the entire show. Not the Kairi match, not the 5-star Utami Shiori match. That reaction of Mayu and Koguma just going, we may have killed Mei Sakurai. Just absolutely amazing. Go and check it out. It's brilliant. And then I'll never get used to those unprotected headshots with steel chairs. Hazuki delivers an absolutely brutal one to Julia before she does that Death Valley driver. And then we've got Koguma doing her stupidly, ridiculously high crossbody from the top of a ladder before Hazuki and Mayu get to the top of the ladder. All this happens in less than 10 minutes.
Unbelievable.
Did they just go, right, guys, you've got about 8 minutes, off you go. Get as much shit as you can in. That's what it felt like. It just felt like, right, there's no time for storytelling, there's no time for selling, just do as much as you can in the time that you've got.
You think about the 3 previous matches, the tag match with Mike and Himika versus 7-Up, Kairi and Saya, and Utami versus Shiori. Those were all 3 phenomenal storytelling matches where it's just like, yeah, let's go with something completely different here. If they were to rearrange this card again, I think you should put Shiori and Utami on last. I think no one's going to disagree with me. But this was loads of fun that they got done, like you said, in 10 minutes. And obviously you want to end the match on your biggest spot. And they're just like, cool spot. Once they got over the money ball thing breaking, it was cool spot after cool spot after cool spot. And obviously the biggest spot in the match was Koguma coming off that ladder and onto pretty much half the Stardom roster. Right, perfect camera angle. And then Mayu and Hazuki going up for what is left of the money ball. So you got to give them credit for one thing on their feet, and 2, just the zaniness that was this match. And again, I still don't understand the honking of the loud buzzers, but to move the money ball. But be that as it may, I thought this was really fun. And again, you can only give 2 thumbs up to these 6 ladies for the crazy dangerous spots they did. So I had this at 4.25 stars.
Wow, you liked it considerably more than me. I gave it 3.5. It was great, but I just, it was 10 minutes of utter insanity. I think in fairness, I might have just been spent after the Utami Shiori match. But it was fine. I don't think it was a match that was there to be taken seriously, though I'm sure Tekla's jaw would disagree with me after being greeted so forcefully by Mayu's boot. But there we are. All in all, I thought this was an excellent show. And I would be amazed if this isn't top 3 shows of the year when we do our end of year awards, Matt.
There's so many of them. I think somebody asked me, he's like, wow, this was a great show, another show of the year. And I'm like, I think it's like 5 or 6 for me. That's how good Stardom was this year. I'm really, once we get towards the end of the year, I'm really going to have to sit down. But considering the fact that you had a 4-star tag match, a 4.25 star ladder match for me, a 4.5 star white belt match, and a picture perfect red belt match. And the fact that to me it's like 5 or 6 just goes to show you just what a phenomenal year Stardom is having.
I think there might be 5 or 6 shows of the year in the 5-star. Like just the 5-star alone. That's without both nights of World Climax, Cinderella Journey in Nagoya, which was an underrated show.
Flashing
Champions, Midsummer Champions was a decent show.
Really good.
Obviously, Gold Rush now. We can assume that Dream Queendom is going to be an absolutely phenomenal show. Historic Crossover. There's 9 shows.
Jeez. I'm excited to do my complete overall wrestling top 10 shows. And when it's 70 or 80% of it's going to be Stardom, it's well, there you go, folks. Again, tell me why you're not watching Stardom.
Absolutely. Let's just quickly then, before we sign off, I'm just going to quickly run through a couple of things that are happening over the next week or so. So obviously today, the 23rd as we record, was night 7 of the Goddesses of Stardom Tag League from Korakuen Hall. On the 25th, Friday, as you're listening to this, hopefully, it's Tokyo Comic Con with a Stardom match taking place in that. The 26th, we'll see Stardom in Showcase Volume 3 with what can only be expected to be a 5-star shampoo match. We've then got the 27th as well, which is the night 8 of the Goddess of Stardom Tag League, and that's from Shizuoka. And then the final 2 nights of the Tag League are the 3rd of December and the 4th of December. The 4th of December, of course, being the final. We will be bringing you our review of the 23rd, but obviously in our historic crossover show, I think we're going to have so much to talk about in regard to that match. We'll just do that show on that podcast, and then the Tag League will roll over to the next week. Matt, what do you think?
Absolutely, sir. Whatever you want to do. I'm all for it. Love it.
So if next week, so next Friday, guys, for you, and obviously the Wednesday or the Tuesday, whenever we record, Matt will have the next date of the Tag League, which is obviously today's the 23rd. Hopefully the Stardom in Showcase show as well, if it's up in time. I don't know if we'll have enough time to do the 27th. We might well do, depends how long it takes Stardom World to upload it. As always, we'll keep you informed. As we've mentioned, our historic crossover review featuring Karen Peterson, the great Karen Peterson, will be dropping on the 28th of November at midnight Eastern time, so make sure you check that out. I believe Karen was in attendance, so she will be giving us a lot more insight into what it was like in that arena, because I can't wait to talk to her about that main event. In the meantime, thank you so much for listening, guys. We really do appreciate it. The new website is up as we speak, so www.thestardomcast.com, not .weebly.com anymore, .com. I've still got a couple of things to upload, there's a few of the older podcasts I need to upload, a couple of the title histories, things like that. But for the most part, the website is now done. Something that you will see when you log on is there is a match guide. This is something that I thought a lot of people trying to get into Stardom have often asked, well, what matches do I need to see? So what I've done is on the website, I've created a page called Match Guide. I've got the years going down from 2022 down to 2011. And over the course of the next couple of weeks, next couple of months, I'm going to populate that with links to matches that you need to check out. I'm sure I'll be asking the Discord for their help as well to matches that I need to add to that. Where it is possible, I will say now the links will take you to Stardom World. This isn't a case of, you can find it here for free. The only time it'll be like Dailymotion or Billy will be if there is nothing on Stardom World. That'll be the only time. But that's something you should check out. But yeah, in the meantime, guys, make sure you subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, leave us a 5-star review and a comment. I cannot begin to describe to you how much it helps us out. You can subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/the Stardom Cast. December is going to be a truly fantastic month. Matt is working literally round the clock. I do not understand how that man sleeps. So go and check all of that good stuff out. You can find us on social media and YouTube at the Stardom Cast. You can talk to me on Twitter at RealRobGoodwin. Matt, tell them where they can find you. Add anything I've missed out, because I'm bound to have missed something out. And then, of course, sign us off, good sir.
Well, before I sign us off there, good sir, again, here in the States, we are celebrating Thanksgiving. This is the day before Thanksgiving. By the time you hear this, Thanksgiving will have already happened. Hope everybody has a great holiday. And whether you celebrate Thanksgiving or not, you can just always give thanks. Give thanks for what you're thankful for, your family, your health. I am, may sound corny. I'm truly thankful for this podcast and for Rob creating this podcast. And I'm glad Rob is back and better than ever. Not only is he crushing it on this podcast, but the website, he works tirelessly on that, and he's writing 19 books. So I'm just thankful for as hardworking as I am, as Rob just said, and I am very hardworking. I think Rob is working just as hard, if not harder than me. And most importantly, again, I know it may sound corny, but I just want to just say I'm truly thankful for all the friends and family that we have over at the Stardom Cast. It truly, really means the world to me. So thanks to everybody. And it's also shopping season, folks. So if you're out there, please be careful. Please park very far away from other cars, and just be nice to everybody and be patient, because I know it can be like a Royal Rumble out there at some of these shopping plazas. Just be nice to everybody. I don't do it. My wife, this is her favorite time of the year. She loves the shop. She absolutely loves the shop. When she comes home, it's like, tell me what happened. It's literally like story time, where I'm like, no, I'm just going to go on Amazon, and that's that. But just please be careful out there, folks. But if you need any questions, or if you have any fun shopping stories you want to tell me, you can hit me up on Twitter and or the Instagram, Matt Turner OF. If social media is not your thing, and I completely understand that, we have an email, thestardomcast22@gmail.com. So any questions, comments, you just let me know. And also let me know for the Red Belt tier Patreon members, for going into January. Let me know what matches you want me to do on a watch along. So again, I thank everybody so much for your support and all the great comments and questions that we get. Because just remember, it's not just my podcast, it's our podcast, because we're all in this together, and everybody's different, everybody's special.